Okay, so I'm doing a review on my bad experience with linex and why not to use them. Um, some of you already know I've had bad experiences with the Omaha, Nebraska location, and I had some videos and stuff on that. So that was the Omaha, Nebraska location. This is the Blair, Nebraska, and the Irvington, which are the same. They just happened to move during the process of working on my truck. So I don't recommend linex, and I'm going to basically be showing you some pictures of some of the things I had to go through and get fixed and covered up or work on myself. There's also some other videos out there that I have of actual videos of some of the damage or work that was done. So this one's just going to be photos. But yeah, as far as linex, great product. It's just they use people that aren't bodywork people or mechanics. They just use people that, or hire people that will just willy-nilly take your truck apart, spray it any old how, and put it back together however they feel fit. So if you check your linex, I guarantee that you're going to be missing some bolts or something. So anyway, I'll try and make this short as possible. So anyway, so I got some lists here which you don't really need to see. Obviously I've got a third list somewhere of some of the work they've done. So I'm going to go through these pictures and hopefully you can see them. So first one here is obvious. They cracked the bottom of my door. Can't really fix that, but I just epoxied over it. And some of these are minor, but just to show you what I went through. See that arrow pointing there? It's a missed spot under the door handle. Had it taken in 3 times to be worked on. And shouldn't have to go through this, especially when it costs as much as it does. So, seeing these spots here, see that little sinkhole there? These actually show up pretty well on my phone. So, oh, these are the symbols that they took off, and if you noticed, one of them's missing. So if I was to sell these, I'm missing the A, and they don't know what happened to that. Yeah, right. Okay, so right here, look at this. This is terrible. This is where you put the Nerf bars along the bottom of your truck. Little side step Nerf bars. So basically what they did is they cut out the undercoating of my truck, went to put it there and realized, oh, it doesn't go there, and just left bare metal. I mean, seriously, that's ridiculous. So I just went ahead and bought my own undercoating and went over the top of that. This is where they actually installed it. You can see there's bare metal right there. And I had to fix these. Linex wasn't going to do that. That's just some buffing right there that needed doing. So yeah, it's really shitty work. I mean, for how much money? I mean, can you imagine having a brand new truck? This is a used truck. Can you imagine having a brand new truck that's like $70,000 and having all this done? I mean, they broke my tail light. Look at that one, and it's over there. They broke my tail light. They broke my grill. My front door wouldn't shut. They put the bed of my truck on crooked, and every excuse they always had was blaming me. Oh, you know, you got rivets on there, blah blah blah. Well, then why didn't you discuss that with me? Or the caulking, or something. I'm like, you guys are the professionals. You should take this stuff off if that's the case, or discuss things with me, not assume stuff. You know, I honestly assumed, because these guys are professionals, that when they did my grill guard, they would take that rubber trim off, spray the whole thing, and put it back on. And they were like, well, that's something you should have discussed with me. I didn't think I'd have to, you know. That's from the Omaha one, but he missed that. He actually did fix my hood. But you just see, there's just so many mistakes on here. So a lot of this work's already done. It's already patched up. Either they patched it up, or, and you can see how badly they patched it up in my other videos, or they did such a shit job that I had to go over it with my own stuff. This was actually my trailer hitch that I had done. That corner was missing. It's like, that's what their touch-ups look like. Sorry it's green, that's because I have a green rim. See that? Bare metal. And I had to pay somebody $100 to put it on because the exhaust was in the way and stuff. And then they were like, oh, we'll take it off and respray it or whatever. Bit late now. You see, that's just... And Linex is no joke, man. I mean, it's like $6 to $8 grand to have a truck done. It's like a corner of the door here. They dropped the door or something because they had to take all my doors off. And they missed it or dropped it. It was dented right there, so it got rust. They obviously patched over this. Oh, this right here, look. Okay, so the story behind this is my truck was misfiring like a week or two after linex. The second time I showed up at linex. And I couldn't figure out why I was misfiring. Well, this piece of tin foil was laying on top of my coils. So the spark was arcing from one spark plug over to the other through the coils. And my truck was running messed up. So I found this, and believe it or not, it's got linex all over it. So linex left some tinfoil under my hood somewhere. And they thought that was strange. Well, anyway, it somehow got onto my coils and was arcing out my truck. Luckily, I found that. I don't know what they use tinfoil for, but just be aware. Some companies actually don't think you're going to check over your shit. Sorry for my language. So, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. And see, I printed these pictures off for linex. I went above and beyond. I wrote them a list. I printed pictures so they could work on some of this stuff and made it easy for them. I actually have a video on this picture. So this is from the grill guard. This right here is rubber. Can't really see very well in there, but basically underneath the rubber is bare metal. I mean, not bare metal, just the regular painted metal. So they didn't take the rubber off, spray it, and then put the rubber back on. And they tried to say, oh, the linex would be too thick and all that bullshit. Linex is really thin, you can freaking tell. I mean... there's a little hole right there, so you get like these rust patches. These are some of the bubbles that were showing up. And he tried to blame it on these washers being too small. And the thing is, with these washers being too small, it was causing this, you know, to bubble up around. I call that bullshit, because, you know, linex is supposed to be this indestructible, strong stuff that you spray on there. And if a washer's going to make it bubble, that's a bunch of BS. But I also think it's because they didn't actually spray underneath the rubber, so technically the linex ends right there where that line is. Oh, look at this. I've got a video on this too. Linex coming right off. They were trying to say that, oh, when we were spraying your truck, you know, we did the outside of it and we just figured we'll just spray the inside of the door. We didn't think much of it. So underneath here, there isn't even prepped. So I'm wondering how much more of the truck isn't prepped. But they didn't prep anything here. So he didn't want to do it. He just wanted to pull it off. I'm like, I paid for the whole truck to be done. So what he did is I mean, you see it in the video. It looked like he just glued it back on. So I actually went over it with Herculiner. See, there's another picture of me pulling it off. And that's how thin it is. It's not thick at all. This is another picture. See that? Yellow. So linex, their touch-ups turn yellow. They talk about it being UV and doesn't fade, blah, 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 blah. It fades, and also the touch-ups turn yellow. There's some proof right there. Some more. Yellow. This is where they broke my grill guard. Not the grill guard, my grill. It's like they tried to take the grill off, and I told them I was worried about it because I didn't want them breaking anything, and just to leave it on and just tape it off. But when I got it back, and there's also a video of that, I noticed that it was missing. They were obviously rusted right there. They broke them right off, and they tried to say they didn't do it. Just broke on its own. It's magic. See, there's another one there, broken off. So I had to use some self-tapping screws and a washer and put that in there. There's a picture of a screw that they stripped. And see, that's how they left my rivets. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's a hole in a rivet, but you would think they knew that and they said they could do it and no problem. I figured they would fill in the rivets and then spray it, but obviously not. They're not really geniuses at all. Here's some of the rivets that they missed. Some more pictures of the bubbling. They say, oh, I don't know why it bubbled. You know why it bubbled. They did a shit job, or they didn't prep it right. So there's some pictures of some of the bullshit I went through. It doesn't seem like much, but when you're paying somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 to have your truck done, you expect, you know, it to be done right. And I mean, they had it sometime in November. They had it for a good 2-3 months. I mean, it was ridiculous. And the Blair, Irvington now location, they do not have rental cars. So every time I mean, luckily I have other cars, but when I had to go there, I had to get an Uber ride home. So the Omaha, Nebraska one does have a rental car, but these guys do not yet anyway. So as far as linex goes, I notice if you take a part in and have it sprayed, it's the best way to go. And put it on yourself, because I guarantee they'll fuck it up. So put it on yourself, that's fine. But if you're going to take a truck in or whatever, I mean, there was just a few patches that they had to do and it took them 2 weeks. It was ridiculous. If you take a truck in, I'm telling you right now, you'll regret it. You'll have so many parts that need touching up, bubbling, cracking, missing things. Like I said, they broke my tail light, they broke my grill, they chipped a bunch of shit. My door wouldn't close. You'd have to check my other videos to see what else. But it was just a horrible experience for that kind of money. I'd recommend trying Ford. Ford does their own. Also, if you want my opinion, there's a stuff called Herculiner. I use it on my white truck. It's a really hard rubber. It's not plasticky like linex, but it goes on easy. You can use a paintbrush, and it's only $100 for a gallon. I mean, goes a long way. 2 coats, and you can touch it up really easy. And I touched up a lot of linex's stuff with it. So save your money, man. I mean, if you were taking a $70, $60, $50,000 truck into Linex and you deal with some of the crap that I've dealt with, I'm surprised they're not getting sued. I mean, putting your bed on crooked and then try and say, oh, well, I thought it was a salvaged title, so that's probably why it's on crooked. No, it's salvaged because of the hail damage at the time. So it has nothing to do with the bed of the truck. It was totaled out from hail damage. After all the body work I put into it and Linex getting on there and some of the other stuff I've done, I finally got it back to full coverage. But Linex is they're willing to work. Well, the Blair Irvington one was willing to work with you, but my God, they do some shitty work. The Omaha one just decided to just ban me from going there. They didn't like leaving reviews on them. They didn't want people to see that stuff, I guess. I don't know. But don't recommend Linex. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money.